Well, g'day and welcome back to the shed. And today I've got this little Grundig battery mains portable radio. It's taken me a while to work out what it is actually. I put it on Facebook because I couldn't find out anything about it, and I was told it was a Grundig Transistor Boy, which apparently translates as push button boy. They must have been really scraping the bottom of the barrel when they were searching for names for it, because I think every Grundig radio ever made has push buttons. I suppose I should call it a Grundig, but we have a long tradition in Australia of mispronouncing foreign names, so I'm afraid it's going to have to be a Grundig for the rest of this video. Now, being a transistor boy, this is an interesting little radio. It's a valve transistor hybrid. It has a push-pull pair of, I think, OC73s as the output, and the RF and IF stages are all valve driven. It's got a third transistor in the power supply which runs as a kind of a multi-vibrator thing to supply voltage to the valves. Other than that, I don't know much about it. I have got a full circuit description, however, from my friend Kristof from Retrotech Restorations in Belgium, and he found a circuit description written in German, translated it for me and emailed it over to me. So now I probably know enough about this radio to attempt to work on it. It's still going to be a little bit out of my experience, but look, you know, if you don't try something new, you never learn anything. So I suspect I'll learn something from this one. Anyway, we'll see. I bought it on Facebook Marketplace. The owner had it advertised as a Grundig. He'd obviously misread the script, and he'd had it on his shelf as a display piece for years. He did plug it in to show me that it worked, and it did make loud crackling noises and something that resembled reception, but it obviously needs work. How much work, I don't really know, but let's have a look at it and we'll see what we can do with it. So I'll turn him over. Looks to be in pretty good nick. The handles are all intact. It's got this enormous aerial which pulls up here, and that goes right up. Well, it hits the roof of the shed before it ends. So that's intact. That would be difficult to replace, I guess, if it wasn't. Let's have a look at the back, and we have A and Z, which is probably German for open and shut. Yep, that looks okay. What have we got here? Well, the first thing you notice is a big empty space here where the batteries go. So stamped in the bottom of the cabinet, it's got two arrows there and two plus signs, suggesting that a battery did sit in there, but there's no sign of any contacts for one. There is some sort of battery contact here, and another one here with a couple of wires going back there, but no sign of separate A and B batteries. It's really hard to tell what's going on here. Of course, I'm trying to work out just what version of this radio I've got. Up here we've got a whole bunch of coils, all the valves in one place up here, and I think there's another one behind there. And behind all of this are those dreaded push button switches. A couple of big electrolytics here, they'll need replacing. I don't know what else needs replacing. We've got a couple of adjustments here, and I'm not too sure what they're all about. That seems to have come out of its little casing there, and there's a couple of empty screw holes there which worries me a little bit. I don't know what they're all about. I have a transistor here, another a transformer here, another transformer here, and I think from what I read the output stage and the power supply are all housed in this can here. Up here we've got the ferrite rod, which looks to be in reasonable condition. A couple of windings look a little bit loose there. I might have to do something with that. There's this bit of, I guess, brass shielding or something that's broken off here, and that the end of the phenolac's broken off there as well. That just seems to shield the base of these valves here. You can see another valve base in there. This will be tight if I have to do anything with them. I've got a bad feeling in my bones about this already. And I thought, since the thing did make some sound when I bought it, I might just plug it in on dim bulb and see what we get out of it. So we can get this backpack on. Try turning that. Yep, that's done the job. Let's plug it in and see if it goes bang. It's got this grungy old plug too, I suppose. It's original though, I don't know. Okay, so I'll put it on dim bulb, plug it in, and gee, I'm not too sure what these buttons are. That must... Anyway, I'll turn it on, see what happens, and absolutely nothing from the dim bulb, and nothing happening to the radio, although I guess it has to warm up. That might be tone. Nothing. Nothing. Oh! Okay. So that button doesn't stay down, whatever it is. I think that might be medium wave. I'll pull up the aerial. That's making a nasty grating noise. And I think we must be on short wave. Won't pick anything up this time of day. This really does need cleaning up. This might... Not too sure what's going on there. Is this medium wave, I guess? Oh.
For 1 metre, my son, he was chopping the ball, which he had success with, just to get the ball back in play and makes in a play on serve.
15 love. They've been going at it for 42 minutes here at Rod Laver Arena. Sinner serves wide to the back end, just missed. And a second serve again. And first serve percentage for Sinner only 55%.
It sounds a bit... No, of course that is on dim bulb. I'll take it off dim bulb, see if it makes a difference. There wasn't enough there to even make the globe glow, so...
Now back end down the line by Sinner. Chop forehand by Medvedev first court. A whip forehand by Sinner. Now by Medvedev. Forehand down the middle of the court by Sinner. Backhand Medvedev. Cross court goes Sinner. Medvedev with a backhand deep. Forehand top spin Simmer.
Dim bulb makes no difference at all.
Medvedev now on the forehand side goes wide. And this time it was Sinner outlasting Medvedev.
Thanks for the question. Over to you for the credits. Even resulting in earaches of the ear. The fourth sign is headache.
The reception isn't great here in the shed. I notice it's got this little socket here. I wonder if that's an aerial. Lots of crashing noises. I hope that's not silver mica. It's more likely to be the buttons. I'll put an aerial on that, see what happens.
And also this thing that you mentioned, wearing away of
yeah, that's an aerial, all right.
So we might notice that even in our mouth.
Okay, so what do we do? Like, what do we...
Isn't it? The Djokovic does not have one break point in a 4-set match. 30 all. Sinner serves out wide to Medvedev. Great return. Forehand Sinner. Backhand cross court.
I guess turn it off just there. That doesn't seem to be off. That must be medium wave. Why the buttons doesn't stay down when it's pushed like the others? Oh, and that's popped up. Does that make that pop up? Maybe you have to push that in. You push that, it pops up again. What? Turn it on again. That's working. Nothing happening there. Nothing happens unless you push that. Can't figure this out.
Well by Medvedev. A swinging volley and it's worthwhile as the winner on the forehand side.
Okay. Push that button, this one pops up and it stops. That must be battery.
Forehand attack down the line.
This is confusing. I don't even know how this thing's supposed to work. But it does work, so I suppose that's a good start. Probably just as well, because my chances of fixing it are diminishing rapidly, I think. So we know it works. Where we go from here, I suppose it will need recapping and the switches need cleaning, and I need to work out why that first button doesn't seem to be doing what it should do, although I have no idea what it should actually do. One interesting thing here, this aerial has no electrical connection to it at all. It sits in this groove here. I guess it must be coupled just by proximity to the ferrite rod here. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't see any other way that that's connected. There's no place where there was a wire on it or anything there. What is this? It seems to be stuck in there. It looks like these are probably selenium rectifiers. I could replace them with diodes. I'm not sure if there's any value doing that or not. Normally in the German sets I've worked on, I have replaced the selenium rectifiers. It seems to be the thing to do. But I'm not sure in this case whether it would upset the voltages too much and whether I'd spend an eternity trying to get the voltages to be what they should. Speaking of which, perhaps I should check what the voltages in fact are in here. I've got the radio working, I'll just turn it down. Even with it turned right down, there's a good deal of crackling, so whether that's down to the buttons or what, I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at this first one. What have I got? I'll put it on 200 volts because I have no idea what to expect. 7.9 volts on that one. 7.8. Put it on the 20 volt range. Yep. And this one here, nothing at all. 14, 13. Okay, 14 volts, 14.1. Well, nothing's making sense so far. Looking at the mains here, we have a rectifier here, and it says 118 volts there. And there's another one here, and it says 65 volts. Is it 65 or 6.5? It is very difficult to read. Don't really know. Nothing's making sense yet. Oh well, onwards. I'll start pulling things apart and see what we get. I don't know what all that crackling is, but I was just... That's one problem. Okay. And so we've got some very dirty valve sockets there just to start with. So how does this thing come apart? This is where I start to despair with these portable radios. They're very compact, and that brings with it a whole bunch of problems. So this chassis seems to be held in with screws through here. Goodness knows what's down underneath here. It probably has, and it's got a screw that holds it on there, and I really can't see anything down there. I think the whole lot is going to have to come out in one lump. There's a screw down there. I can't see any others. There's oh yeah, there's one down there. There's one down there. And I think there's one down there, so we'll have to take this out separately and get that one out. The buttons should just come out. I don't know if they pull off or not. And this tuning dial, I don't know how on earth I'm going to get that off. Now the centre cap's gone, as I said. You can see the end of the shaft protruding through the plastic there. I don't know if that will just pull off. I somehow don't fancy my chances. I don't want to break it. Nothing looks like moving there. There couldn't be a grub screw or anything in that. It does have a reduction drive in it. The pointer on the inside, which must be coupled to the tuning cap. I wonder if this mechanism will lift out without removing this dial. I don't think I should be so lucky, but you never know. Very hard to see what's going on down there. This must come out somehow, surely. Is that moving? I think it might be, just a little bit. Yes, it's coming off. Yes. Just gently does it. Gently, gently. Yes. And it has a metal clippy thing. Oh well, I'll give that a clean up before I put it back on. I don't know what I can do about this centerpiece, but we'll come to that later. Now, how does this work? I guess that will have to come off too before we go pulling anything out. I'll try just hooking it out. Yep. So again, just a metal clip. I tried pulling at the push buttons and they don't seem to be willing to come off, at least not easily. I'm not sure if I might be able to take this out of the case with them in place. I can get at most of these screws, but this one down here looks a bit challenging. I'm wondering if I should take this section out and just perhaps move it aside. Does it have a nut on it? No. That doesn't, that's quite warm. That doesn't seem to want to give way. I'll move these bands aside, that might work. Okay, so then this will come loose-ish. Yeah, I've got a little bit more space down there. So I'll try for this screw here. Okay, one here, which looks a bit chewed, as if someone's taken it out before perhaps. Now this is the translated information about this radio that Kristof sent me from Retrotech, and thanks again Kristof for sending this over. So the first super heterodyne travel radio with transistors, 1956. An interesting travel receiver, the Transistor Boy in two versions, the T and L. Now it goes on to say that the HF and IF stages were taken from the previous device, which is the Grundig Transistor Boy. Because of the required operating voltages of 6 volts for transistor operation, the heating filaments of the tubes are no longer connected in parallel but in series. So here it clearly shows the filaments in series on this one. And this is our wire wound resistor apparently. I'm not very used to their symbols here. We also have this symbol here, and there's another one of it here somewhere. I'm not really sure what they signify. This seems to be some kind of a plug arrangement. I suppose it connects the two sides when the plug's inserted, I'm thinking. Not too sure. Anyway, there's a lot more to this. One such device that only runs on dry batteries is the Transistor Boy T. T for Trocken battery, dry battery. Okay, so that's the T. Equipped with a 6-volt battery for the tube heating and for operating the transistor output stage, and a 67.5 volt battery for the anode power supply. It says here the energy consumption of the Transistor Boy T proves to be very favourable compared to the all-tube device. That's the Grundig Transistor Boy presumably, and it shows power consumption figures there. Okay, over the page here, and this is the interesting bit. If you replace the 6-volt dry battery with a gas-tight DAC cell battery that can be recharged from the mains network, and replace the anode battery with a DC-DC converter that is powered by this 6-volt battery, the operating costs practically decrease to zero. This principle is implemented in the Transistor Boy L, which stands for charging device, whose only power source when battery operated is the DAC battery, developed by Deutsche Edison unpronounceable company, specifically for this season's transistor receivers. Now I'd say one of those batteries might be a little difficult to get your hands on now. In any case, it doesn't appear that that's what my radio has, the single 6-volt rechargeable. I don't really know. At this stage I'm still scratching my head. Anyway, thanks Kristof for translating this and sending it over to me. It's a great help. And while I continue to struggle with getting this thing out of its case, just have a quick look at Kristof's channel. It's worth a visit.
Hey, welcome back. We're here again with this Lenco A50 amplifier. Let's see. So this is first emitter resistor on the left channel. Shit! That's a lesson of be careful when you attach your multimeter probes, because I just fried one of the drivers. I have to now have a beer, I think. In the last video, you saw me having a bit of issues with the speaker. Okay, so here we are again. The cage of the condenser has received the second coat. Now this really sets the bar for the rest of the radio, I think, right?
So that's Kristof's channel, Retrotech, and I'll put a link in the description. Well, I finally got the chassis out of the case. I thought if I lifted it up and out and jiggled it enough, I would be able to get it out. The difficult bit was the tuning dial knob or spindle, and unfortunately I ripped the wires off the speaker. I made the silly assumption that there would be enough slack in the speaker wires to be able to lift it up to desolder them or disconnect them. There wasn't. and I couldn't tell which wires went to the speaker because it was all underneath here. So it doesn't seem to be any great damage, but I will have to tack those back on. I'm not sure how many ohms this is. I might just hook it up to the shop speaker in the meantime, and see if I've done any terminal damage to it. At least now I should be able to get to these valves and to the push button mechanism. Just looking at this button here, it is different to the others. Whether it's supposed to stay down when it's pushed down, I really don't know. It might be just a toggle on off, I don't know. That's one of the battery wires. I desoldered them. As these two battery wires, and looking in here, there's this plate here which has contacts on it which look as if a plug goes into it. Don't know if you can see that there, but there's these two contacts here which will be joined when you put a plug in it, and this one here which seems to be the ground. I don't know. So I suspect that a battery plugged in there. That's my best guess at the moment. There's also this little thing here which is covered in bitumenized tubing. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'll hook the speakers up and see what happens. Alright, we've got the speaker on. Now the aerial went to there, so I'll just hook that on as well, because we don't have any other aerial anymore. Okay, so here's our aerial, and it seems to go to this cap here, so I'll just put it on there. Alright, and this button is, well, that pops up when you do that. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. Anyway, plugging it in, turning it on, and we have noise straight away. That's a good thing, I guess. We've got a wire hanging in the tuning cap there. I'll just fish that out.
We're just at a halfway mark of the history quiz on this Sunday. Next hour, we'll be finding out, well, a very famous historical figure in the scientific world, and that's Marie Curie. Spent a lot of years in...
Well, that's working fine, so I haven't damaged anything yet. Gently taking the valves out one by one. It's a little bit tricky, but I'll start by cleaning out the valve sockets, and that might give me better access to the switch contacts as well. Now these shields are tied to ground, of course, and restrict how the valve comes out. So this is a DAL 96, I think, a DAF. Well, I'm not sure what that says, but I can check the schematic. It's a DAF 96. Put him aside. The pins on that one look pretty clean. Some of the others look rather corroded. And there's one more in here. It's going to be interesting to get at. Oh no, that'll be alright. Yep, there he goes. And that's a DF97. I'll clean them up, clean up the pins, and see what I can do to clean out the sockets. I should be able to get to the underside of the sockets through here. I may be able to just take this part of the chassis off, and if I can do that without breaking any wires, I might be able to get access to the underside. I can see them from here too. There's quite a few of these caps here that I don't know if they're good or not. I guess they should all be replaced by rights. I can also now see the back of this mystery object here. It's got this, shaking the camera, 3 contacts on some black component there, and the power goes to, oh, that's where the power cord goes to. Is that the power switch? Is it? No. I'll have to look at the schematic. That ends up with this board here with two mystery knobs on it. I don't want to disturb it. I'm really not sure what it's all about. I guess I'll start by just brushing the dust out of here. There's quite a bit. So I've got 3 of the valves soaking in a milk bottle top full of rust buster. I won't leave it in there for too long, but that seems to be the easiest way to clean the corrosion off the pins. So are pretty black and grungy looking. So with the valve pins cleaned, I'm just going to go over the sockets with a little bit of Starchy Bastard. That's all of them done. With these sockets there's no way I can close up the pins, unfortunately. I can't get into them. So if this doesn't fix these valve sockets, I'm going to have to look at replacing them, I think. I don't know how I missed it before, but this button here simply toggles this one off and on. Press it once, it pops up, press it again, it pops down. The function of this button here is still unclear. If this is the rechargeable version of this radio, then that will be the charge button, or it just could toggle battery operation. I'm not really sure. In any case, the mechanism seems to be a little bit stiff, so I'm just going to, and I know some people will hate me for this, give it a little squirt of WD-40. There we go. Yeah, that seems to work better already. Putting these valves back in is a little bit of a challenge. Not all that easy. I have to go into the cans first because the wire isn't long enough to put it on afterwards. But hopefully we will have gotten rid of all that dreadful noise. I don't know, the valve still feels a little bit loose in the socket. Worries me a little bit because getting at the base of that socket and changing it is going to be a bit of a drama, and I can't tighten up the contacts in there, they're not accessible. Okay, next we have the DF96. DF96, I've labelled them all again, although the writing on the valves is, this one isn't terribly legible. It does come off very, very easily. So it's good to have a second label on them. That one feels quite firm in its socket. Third one is the DAF96. This one. And again it has to go in its can first, I think. The gap in the pins is that way. And that was a good deal easier than the other one. And the DF97 goes in the back corner here. There we go. And this little neon just goes back on here. There. Well, I suppose there's nothing for it but to plug it in and see if I've ruined it again. Hopefully not. I don't like that. There's something, let's turn that down. I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a hair thin wire just in here, which gets caught up in the tuning capacitor as you turn it. I need to try and get that out of the way somehow. That will be Radio National, no doubt. I don't know what I'm going to do to get rid of that wire. Another thing I could do, I guess, is investigate what this button's all about. It stops when you press that, starts when you press it again, so it simply toggles this, whatever it is, up and down. Now it occurred to me, I'll just turn that down, sorry, that if this is a battery charging switch, and if this is the version of this radio that does have a rechargeable battery, that when this is popped up, presumably on charge, then it should put a charging voltage across these two battery wires that I desoldered here. So let's just see if any voltage appears across those wires when I press that button. So I put it on DC volts, I guess. I'll put it on the 10 volt range. We've got about 7.8 volts. That's if this cheap meter is anything like accurate. Now, if this is charging the battery when I press this switch, that voltage should presumably go up to above the battery voltage, so that current will flow backwards into the battery. Let's just see what, at least that's my really crude interpretation of the circuit. So let's just see what happens. Oh yeah, it goes up. So if I go to 50 volts, okay, so that's the 50 volt range we've got. Oh, well, according to this, nearly 10. It's dropping though slowly. I don't know why that will be dropping. Maybe there's a dodgy capacitor in there. If I press this again, it drops somewhat. But we still have battery voltage on those wires, even when the thing is operating on mains. I don't know. Now I presume these are different bands, so I'll try. Okay, we still have noise on that one. We'll see if we're picking anything up. There are stations there. So I suspect this is shortwave, or one shortwave band. And it's picking up quite a lot of stations. It is night time now, so okay, let's try this one. Oh, there's okay, and the last one, nothing. Could be that there's nothing there, or it could be long wave or something silly like that. I'm really not sure. Not much information. No, we're getting something there, so it can't be long wave. That little wire's getting caught again. I'll just fish it out. Whatever this band is, there's not a lot on it. Oh, something there. Okay, so we apparently have 3 shortwave bands and medium wave with none selected.
Well, I haven't given away the black magnet yet. Perhaps
It does seem to be fairly sensitive on shortwave. Medium wave seems a bit average. Maybe it needs an alignment, I'm not too sure. But yeah, okay, I'm pretty convinced that we have 3 shortwave bands there with none of those selected. It's on medium wave, and with this pressed it either goes to battery or charge, and I'm still not convinced which, but the voltage on those wires does increase when I press that, which seems to be pretty much in keeping with that circuit. Now, apart from this schematic, I also have this other one which I also got from the Radio Museum, and I thought that they were different, but I've traced through the heater circuit, and these are in fact in series. The other drawing omits all this detail, I guess for clarity, but as far as the heater circuit's concerned, I think both schematics are identical. Back to the first schematic, I've traced through how the plate voltage is derived, and here's the main plate voltage line up through the output transformer to the plate of that one, and all the plate voltages are derived from this line, which comes from this transistor circuit here, which essentially turns itself off and on rapidly, chops up the voltage in this auto transformer, and boots out, I think, 60 volts to this. It seems that this is in operation all the time, regardless of whether it's operating on mains or battery. Now, looking at the other circuit, essentially it's the same thing. This says, I think, 64, I don't know, it's really difficult to read because it's got the Radio Museum thing right over the top of it. But it seems to work in exactly the same way, it's just drawn a little bit differently. So now to the charging circuit. And we have this switch here, which is obviously the power switch. I presume that's the one attached to the volume control. We've got a fuse there, which I haven't found yet. And voltage taps here. But okay, so now we have this switch L, and there is another L switch here. Now L apparently stands for Ladeschalter. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, which translates to charging switch. So it does have a charging switch. There are 2 tappings on the secondary here, and I presume this one is a lower voltage and this is a higher voltage. It says 11.8 volts on this line here. We've got the neon, which I think I read somewhere acts as a current limiter. 185 milliamps written there. 13 ohm resistor, 6.8 volts there. Goes through this choke. But if we're looking at the charging circuit, that switch is in the up position there, and if this one is also in the up position, I guess that's how it's drawn. The rest of this circuit is disconnected, and the power will just flow through. This is the on-off switch, and it would have to be on, obviously. Charges the battery. When you press the switch to the other position, so it's down here, it's now feeding the lower secondary voltage through the diode, through the neon, through the choke. This will now be closed through here to the transistor circuit to produce the HT, and also to the heater voltage for the valves. So that's the way I think it works. Okay, so trying to relate this back to the chassis, and here we've obviously got the power cord coming in. That will be the back of the fuse holder there. That will, I think internally it must have a connection through to this section here, which has the voltage taps for the transformer, and we've got 3 wires going into the transformer there, apart from the, I'm not sure where that one comes from, back from the switch I think. Secondaries come out the bottom here, and we've got this green wire which you can trace up to the switch here. This is the battery switch, and so it makes sense I suppose that it would go straight there. This should then go to a diode, and looking at it I thought at first it would be this rectifier here, but it seems not. It goes to this blue wire here, onto this rectifier. Okay, so the other side of this rectifier here, and I notice it says on it, it says on the schematic E14C350, and here, yep, it definitely says AEC E143G, sorry, C350. So this is the main rectifier diode, straight off the secondary. The other side of that goes to these 2 grey wires here, and one of them, as per the schematic, goes straight up here and onto the pilot lamp, which I now don't really think is a neon. I'm sure I read somewhere where that was a neon. I can't find it now, but it doesn't look like one. I don't really think it is one. I think it's an incandescent globe. The other side of that goes to this terminal here, and then back down through here. There's brown wire down here and along to this capacitor, which would be the second of the 2 600 mic smoothing capacitors. This the other one of these wires here goes straight around here and goes to this other smoothing capacitor. So these are either side of that pilot lamp. Let's have a look at this fuse box thing. I presume it's a fuse. I don't know for sure though. So this is the other side of it. The mains is coming into the back of this unit, and I'm presuming these empty holes are unused voltage taps for the primary. If I take that out, I hope it's not an adjustment of any kind, but I don't think so. I think this is, yeah, it's just a screw. I have to remember which one it went in. And that now sits down in there. It looks like that rivet there is broken, which has allowed it to come up. This then, I presume, is a fuse. I hope so, because I'll just remember that was pointing at the corner of that capacitor, and I'll count the turns. 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. It feels like a screw thing. 4 turns, 5. Oh yeah, it is. Oh my god, look at that. That is so corroded. I'm amazed it worked. That is green. Alright, well, let's clean that up and we'll fix this fuse box. It looks like perhaps someone's wound this voltage tap screw in too far and forced the front phenolic plate up. I don't know. Yes, see, as you screw it in, it lifts the plate up. So I'll clean this up and put it back. Now this is a schematic I've been working off so far, well, in 2 versions. This is the other version with the heater wiring shown. And I found this photo of a Transistor Boy L, which I believe this schematic to relate to. And it's still different, particularly in relation to the placement of this can here. Nevertheless, it could be a local variant. Another thing I noticed is that on the switch diagram, and this relates to all of them, including the Grundig Transistor Boy, the bands are shown as medium wave, long wave and short wave, and the 4th button is on off. Now this one has medium wave and 3 short wave bands, the medium wave being operational when none of the buttons are pressed. So that's a significant difference to all of them, and it makes me wonder if what I have is perhaps an export version Well, that may have included other variations such as relocating this can here and the addition of this coil, possibly because of the different wave bands. In any case, I decided to investigate this can further. I'm not too sure what it's all about, but I'm just going to very carefully disengage it from the chassis, and it does come loose straight away. Whether it will actually come out, yes it does. And there's another large electrolytic attached to the bottom of it. And we have two red wires from this terminal, one grey wire from this top terminal, and two black ones from the other end of this. Is that a capacitor or what? On the back, okay. Grundig, adjust 45 milliamps at 6.5 volts with insulated screwdriver only. And there is a screw hole in the back here which you probably can't see. And there's another screw there. Okay, so I'll take that out and we'll just see what is lurking inside. I've been curious about this ever since I got the radio. Okay, is this going to slide out? It is, I think. Will require a little bit of force. There we go. Alright. What do we have in here? A capacitor, a resistor, a pot, some kind of a coil. I'm not seeing any transistors in there. Oh, wait a minute. Here we have a transistor. That will probably be this OC76, which does the high voltage power supply, the plate voltage. We've also got a 100 UF cap in there, a couple of them actually. There's also several other caps here which I'm not really sure about. But if it has this, this pretty much nails this as a Transistor Boy L. Where the other two transistors are, anybody's guess. They're probably hidden somewhere in this rat's nest of wiring. I can't see anything, but it will be pretty easy to miss. I think I will have to change these capacitors. They remind me of the capacitors I found in the Nordmendo Rigoletto that I restored some time ago, and I seem to remember someone told me that they were not overwhelmingly reliable. This one up in the corner here looks particularly crusty, but I would be happier if I could find the output transistors. I have no idea where they are. Another thing I noticed since I've been poking around the chassis is this. Now this is the I guess the coupling transformer between the DF97 and the transistor outputs, and down here are the two transistors. There's one there, and where's the other one? Just down there horizontally. I wish I'd seen that earlier. It would have made it a lot easier to identify what chassis I'm dealing with. Well, there are still quite a few things I don't understand about this radio, not the least of which is the purpose of this second selenium rectifier here. And not surprisingly, one side of it's connected to ground, and that also doubles as the speaker ground here. The other side of it goes to this socket in this phenolic board here. And here it is here on the schematic. There's, I presume, that socket. But if these contacts were connected together, all it's going to do is short the entire secondary winding via this lamp, so it wouldn't be a dead short, back to ground. That's forward biased. So I don't understand its purpose at all. And another mystery, this is the socket here. This red wire goes off to the rectifier, and this appears to be normally connected. It has these contacts here, and I don't know if I can demonstrate this, but if you put a plug in there, that contact will open when you insert something in this socket. It follows that that's normally closed, but if that was normally closed, it would short out the heater windings. One possible explanation, and I may be way off the mark, but I was thinking this could perhaps act like a Zener, with the forward bias voltage across it being 6.5 volts. I guess it's 6.5. I don't know much about how selenium rectifiers behave at such low voltages. I've only ever come across them in the power supplies of larger radios where they've typically got high tension voltage on it, B plus or mains. So yeah, I don't know. There's still so much I don't understand about this radio. It's proved to be quite a Pandora's box. I'm hoping someone has had some experience with these and can tell me a little bit more about it. If so, please leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, I can just go through and change the capacitors, which I will do, but that's going to have to be in part 2. There's also the cabinet will need a clean up, and hopefully I'll unravel some more of its mysteries. Anyway, thanks for watching me bumble my way through this, and I hope you can join me for the next part. Thanks for watching. Catch you then.